this is something that I believe you were very interested in talking more about. And here it is. Let's talk about Bill Gates and what's going on with him. He says, I believe it's on page 8. He says, Bill Gates, rich nations should move to 100% synthetic beef. Bill Gates recently said that he believes rich nations would help the global fight against climate change by consuming only plant-based 100% synthetic meat products instead of beef. You can get used to the taste difference, and the claim is they're going to make it taste even better over time, says Gates. The philanthropist and Microsoft co-founder said that he is hopeful that a turn to plant-based proteins will combat methane emissions produced by livestock. Even Gates recognized that this idea is hard to swallow, saying to people, you can't have cows anymore. Talk about a politically unpopular approach to things. However, the global hunger for plant-based foods continues to grow. Here are some numbers for you. Morningstar forecasts that the plant-based meat market will reach $74 billion by 2029, the end of the decade, up from currently $12 billion. That was in 2019. And Beyond Meat is working with McDonald's and fast food chains like Taco Bell and KFC to roll out plant-based sandwiches and other alternative meat items this year. Is that the end of this story, Kai?
Yep.
Okay. Is this 100%?
That's what he's saying.
What do you think about this?
Here's what I think about it. Bill Gates needs a side hustle. He needs something else to do other than come up with these wild, stupid things that he does 3 times a week. He's too bored.
He's got a side hustle.
100%.
He's been talking about vaccines.
Well, then hustle more on that and keep beef out of it. Okay. Warren Buffett is good friends with Bill Gates, right?
Yeah, I think they're the best of friends.
Do you know that there's 7 million cows in Nebraska and there's 1.8 million people in Nebraska? Do you know how big the beef industry is in Nebraska, in this country? I mean, for him to throw something out that, it's almost like, I think it does Bill Gates' legacy a little harm because he almost comes across as a crackpot. Now, there might be some scientific thing that he could spin in 387 years down the road. If we did this, it would benefit. But no one's going to buy this right now. Or have you ever tried fake beef?
I've had a Beyond.
So have I, and they're okay. It takes like a bad turkey burger, if you ask me. Beyond Meat. It's okay. I think they're going to be improving it constantly. But how can you make a statement like this when that industry is so big, it affects so many jobs and so many livelihoods? Maybe it just seems when I see a Bill Gates headline now, I'm going, how crazy can it get?
So you think that just when you see a Bill Gates headline, is it like instant non-credibility at this point?
I don't know. Well, Bill Gates is who he is, so his accomplishments speak for themselves. But how are you going to get America to go 100% fake beef? That will not happen. You will have a lot of Americans moving to poor countries, okay? Because he's saying all rich countries should get rid of beef and just have fake beef. Well, a lot of Americans would be leaving this country.
Well, listen, according to the numbers, here we go. Right, Morningstar forecasts that the plant-based meat market will reach $74 billion by 2029, up from currently $12 billion that was last year.
I say that's a small number. I'd say 74 will be higher than that. It's big, and they're going to improve it every single year. It's going to get better and better and better, but I just don't think we're there yet where Americans can wrap their arms around
I think the problem that we're having right now is the fact that, this is why we're talking about, because if he said rich nations should move to 40% synthetic beef, we wouldn't even be questioning this. We'd be like, all right, cool, like have more, synthetic beef, whatever the hell synthetic beef is, fake meat or whatever. But the fact that he's saying 100%. Again, headlines is the people are like, what do you mean? I can't have a freaking hamburger? Eric Lever, every day for lunch, he has a hamburger. Every day. It's crazy. We know what your number one thing that you like to eat is, but burgers is at the top of the list. Yeah, I went there. Now, would you eat fake meat?
Absolutely not.
You would not?
No.
That's my point. You're going to get a lot
of
people
just wouldn't. If we said 100% fake beef, you're not even going to have a bite of that. No, I want my meat.
No. And there's too
I want my meat steak.
There's too many people like that. So
yeah, you go to Texas right now. You're gonna tell some dude in Texas driving around in his truck, hanging out in the.
It'll be like
I can't have a hamburger.
It'll be like prohibition. There'll be a huge underground black market for it.
Damn, the underground beef market.
The cartel
it would be, 100%.
or the mafia is going to get involved, and it's going to become a bigger business than it is now because it's going to go underground. There's history has shown time and time again that's how it rolls.
Kai, give me something different. Give me a different perspective. I know you love hamburgers. You're from Norway though, so there's what do you got?
Here's a prediction.
Ooh, what you got?
We have the gasoline industry, or the gas cars versus electrical vehicles.
Yes.
I think in the future you're going to see a push towards, you know how we're pushing towards electrical vehicles, it's going to be a push towards more plant-based beef.
Mm-hmm.
And a lower decrease on beef. I don't think it's going to go 100% overnight. That's not.
Yeah.
We have Eric Galera's in the world, and a lot of them.
What's his point on the emissions?
The point on the emissions is essentially if you're planting, right? So to create a cow, you need a lot of acres for food, and they need to eat. And 90%, essentially, if you think of it, roughly 90% of the food that a cow eats goes to just maintenance, right? 10% goes to growth. So they need to eat a lot of food in order to gain a lot of weight, right? So say they're 100 pounds, then they need 1,000 pounds of food, which that food could be better used if you go directly to grain or they create fake beef out of it. So there's a lot of inefficiencies with beef and raising animals because they need to eat a lot just to maintain or to grow and get bigger. So that's where he's saying the emission comes out, that it's more pollution for sustaining animals than to just eat the grass or the plant-based that you could be planting on the same area.
Let me pick up where you went.
Hey, by the way, well done.
You're
Good
going
explanation,
predictions. I mean,
seriously.
he's drawn diagrams, Venn diagrams.
No, but that makes sense. Good job.
Yeah. So that's his argument, that he's saying that we're a first world nation, that we can afford that, and we can make more use out of the land that we're on. So that's kind of where he's going with the emissions of the methane that cows produce, and then also just the general stuff around it. Now, how realistic is it to transition from one to the other? I don't know. But one thing I suggest is we do a blind meat test where we have a fake burger and
put
a real
that on an
burger,
idea.
and we see.
I see an
what
episode
we
there.
think.
Can we put that on an idea?
Yeah.
A taste test.
Yeah.
Coke,
I'd
Pepsi,
want to see.
Coke,
I'd want to
Pepsi.
see.
Here's the deal.
I'd want to see
a
Tom
burger. Yep.
not be able to spot the difference between
I
a
would
fake
love that.
meat and real meat.
I would love that. I would love to go Beyond Meat. I would love to, be a connoisseur of Beyond Meat, because the health benefits alone, I would be ecstatic if I were to be. The NBA players have really helped push Beyond Meat. They're based in El Segundo, which is the next city over from where I live, and they really are blown up. Could you imagine if Elon Musk had come out and said we should be 100% fake beef? Could you imagine what would have done to the
stock
Beyond
would have
Meat?
been yes.
Yeah, but you know what? It's unfair to pick on one industry when you have as much influence as you do as Bill Gates. And if I was in that industry where I could be really truly harmed, I would be really resentful for him to say something like that. I think it would be more responsible to say, hey, look, the benefits outweigh, having this much beef consumption, and here's why. Let me tell you. And this country's capable of maybe getting there. I think it'll prolong life. It'll cut down cardiovascular disease and heart disease, but he comes out with this 100, and that just scares everybody, and it completely dilutes his point. And now you're not going to believe him. You're going to be anti this, whatever he says about it. I think he's going to handle
Tom,
it.
I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, if he said, hey, we should eat more synthetic beef, and that's all he said, and just kind of left it just, hey, do what you want, we wouldn't even be talking about this story right now. The fact that listen, agree with Bill Gates or don't agree with Bill Gates, the guy is a genius, and he knows what he's doing. If he comes out there and says rich nation should move to 100% synthetic beef, he knows that that's going to be a headline. Like, thinking of headlines here, you write the headlines for VT Post, that's clickbait material. It's exactly what we're doing right now. We're talking about this topic, talking about your predictions. Listen, things were trending in a different direction in America and in the world for everything, but what I think happened is the pandemic exacerbated a million different types of changes to say, hold on, what's going on here? You talked about the electric car vehicles versus gasoline and oil power car. Clearly there's some green changes going on with that. Clearly this beef topic that we're talking about right there. I can't tell you how many calls I'm getting from people. Bitcoin. So you got the Bitcoin, you got the Ethereum, you got the crypto. Clearly people are making a move in that direction. Obviously, Zoom, you're not traveling for meetings talking about emissions. And Bill Gates says he's one of the, flying private planes and doing all that. He gives off more emissions than anybody. Things have changed. And I think this is kind of to your prediction. This is something that we're going to. Have you ever even thought about not eating a normal burger less than 5 years? If someone said, oh, you can have a veggie patty or a burger 5 years ago, it wasn't even a freaking question. Now I'm like, it's been proven you shouldn't eat more red meat more than once a week right now. Wink, wink at you, Galera, eating 12 hamburgers a day.
Think about the first cell phones, right, and how far we've come with that.
Exactly.
I think it can be the same
We
thing.
talked
with
about
this
BlackBerry and iPhone,
food.
stuff like that. Exactly.
Has anybody tried the sausage that Beyond Meat makes? Is that any better? I haven't
This
tried
guy
that
eats
either.
it every day.
Chorizo is
This guy eats it
ish.
literally every day.
Chorizo.
Paul, what do you eat every day for lunch?
Chorizo. It has changed my life.
Really?
It because you can't eat regular chorizo every day. You'll die. But chorizo gives you that opportunity to have that amazing chorizo flavor, but healthy.
Interesting.
This podcast is brought to you by Chorizo.
Hey.
It gives you, if you can eat regular chorizo, you will die. And
I really want to like it. I really do. I would love to fail that taste test because I would be all in. I really would. And I think they will eventually.
I mean,
get
you're
there.
a Cali boy. This must be like all over the streets of LA
right up
going
his
right
alley,
there.
yeah.
I mean, how do you must have a million friends that are going vegan and doing all that kind of stuff? No.
Yeah, but it's already happened, right? I mean, that's already just organically kind of. It's,
The
no
organic,
one's
yes.
No one's making a big announcement that hey, I'm going. It's already happened in California. Last point on this from me: Bill Gates better hate steak because if he's ever caught in a steakhouse right now, people are going to take pictures of this hypocrite and they're going to be sending it everywhere. So he better not eat a burger in public when you come out with a statement like this.
Is it me? I think Bill Gates. Like I'm on the side. Well, if Bill Gates says something, automatically I'm thinking Bill Gates knows what he's doing. Knows what he's talking about. I think he, like kind of you said, like I don't know, he needs to kind of have a side hustle or stick to his day job. I kind of think he's that smart and that informed that he kind of knows what he's talking about. My question to you is, when you hear Bill Gates say something, do you have like he's a fake news kind of a guy? Like I had that problem with Trump, no doubt. If he said it, I was like, I don't know.
No, here's my problem with
say.
him. And
Yeah.
to your point here, it's not that I doubt his brilliance. I mean, clearly the guy's a genius. I just question his motives, and that's the one thing when I hear
Hidden
something
agenda.
If what he's saying, does it benefit him somehow down the road? And whatever's happened with him in the past has kind of created that for me, where that is more or less the first thing I think of when he says that. Is this benefiting him, his foundation, or something more that to the detriment of how it would affect everyday
and maybe this is
Americans?
just me being naive. I'm sure that's a perfect segue to some comments right there. But I don't think he does it for his money or to improve his. Like I just think he genuinely cares.
I think the jury's out on that. To be honest,
The jury's
with you.
out. Do you trust Bill Gates? Like just trust him as a human being? Like trust his instincts?
I'd
Or do you
say
think he's kind of like a selfish, looking out for himself? Like where are you at with
I think
Bill
there's
Gates?
more stuff he could be doing if he wanted to further his hidden political agenda in that
Yeah.
sense. I do.
The
think
guy's
that-
been top 5 richest guy in the world for the last 20 years.
I think he
like,
is a believer of what he's doing. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, does everyone agree? Most likely not. But I do think that he, especially with with his views on climate change and the things that need to be done in order to reach the goals, I think that he's kind of in tune with those, and I can see where he's coming from.
You trust Bill Gates' instincts, Paul? You trust Bill Gates?
I'm gonna say no.
You do not trust
If
Bill
he
Gates.
says something right away, I'm not gonna just blindly incline. Only
Okay.
because I've heard enough red flag stories in the last 10 years about him.
That's my question. I'd love to hear the audience. Just trust or mistrust of Bill Gates. Do you trust him or do you not trust him? Eric, where are you at with this? Trust or mistrust?
I don't trust him, and there's no like solid data I can give you.
Yeah.
Why he gives me a vibe. I just can't trust
So
him.
he doesn't have the trust factor for
He
you.
doesn't, no.
Interesting. Mario, do you trust Bill Gates?
No, so I have an opinion on this. I think that sometimes, like saying someone's name, we get a little emotional, right? So as I'm listening, I'm like, man, everybody's so emotional about Bill Gates.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah, I'm not crying, but I think that when it comes to something like this, what I take out of it is how anything extreme is always going to rub us the wrong way. But if we are naive to believe that we can't get there, then we're very naive. Everybody, both sides, middle, I don't care. Because if you would have told me a few months ago that everywhere you freaking go, you're going to put on a mask, even when you're walking in an office and when you're going to the restroom, and then you feel guilty for not wearing. If you would have told me that would have been society today, where you look at a chick, you look at a dude, you're looking at people, you're looking in business meetings, and then you're doing interviews. Recently, right now, I was like, I prefer to keep a mask on. I'm going to wear my mask. And you have to
Handshake,
be
no
all
handshake.
so conscious. If you would have told that to me 6 months ago, I would have said, hell no, that's extreme. 100% of people won't do it. So when I hear 100% today, here's what I take from this, is we cannot be naive. For me, anything at an extreme is too much. So yes, I agree with you, Adam, where if he would have said, look, we can gradually increase and start moving into a little bit more plant-based.
That was
I
my
get it.
point, by the way.
Right, Tom.
Thank you.
And I agree with Tom, not with Adam. I never agree with Adam unless it's about what we're going to eat. So the other part
Synthetic
is
beef, baby.
The other part is
Yes.
that I also trust the science. If there are facts that are leading, and I just looked up an article here while you guys were talking, but science does say that methane emissions are increasing. So what the hell are we doing about it? It's really good for me. I'm 33, but what about, and I do think about, what about the youth? What about society? What about the environment? Like, we're kind of effed up, to not care about those things, because we do need some longevity. What freaking planet are we going to live on? So I think that is important as well. But anytime we go extreme, I think that's the case. But the other part, I think regulation is very important too. When we interviewed, if you go back and you watch, if you haven't watched it already, go watch the interview with Shad Sullivan. But he talks a direct impact about the meat industry. Go watch that interview and understand a little bit more about the whole aspect of being a business owner and what they had to go through dealing with COVID and regulating where meat was coming from at that point. Because if you understand the world that they're in, you can't just put them out of business either. You have no idea who you're affecting. So if regulation is included, meat could gradually get better if you process it better. Because look, if you're going to pick right now, and I'm reading the comments, but are you going to go to Burger King? You're going to go to McDonald's? You're going to go to Shake Shack? Or are you going to go to In-N-Out? Are you going to go where? Are you going to go to a restaurant like down here, Chopped Steakhouse, and you're going to go ask for a burger? Where do you get your meat from? So I hate to go long-winded on this, but I think, look, if you're extreme about it, you're going to get a lot of hate. If you're naive about it, don't forget what happened with masks. You're probably going to put one on right after the podcast, wherever you go. And then from there, we need to improve regulation, but we can't be emotional when it comes to an individual and their name and whatever they did on their past. Because if you're perfect, then, you should be the one commenting.
Walking on water. Great insight by the legendary Mario Aguilar.
I'd also be curious to know how much of, because obviously if you have like organically plant-raised meat, which is like the non-processed, the straight cows just coming right off the farm, that quote-unquote healthy meat, the high-quality meat, right? But then you also have all the like crappy meat, which is a lot of like the McDonald's meat and a lot of just ground stuff and the stuff.
What Paul used to eat before he went to the soy riso.
And that percentage, I'd be curious of like how much is the quote-unquote good quality meat, and then how much of the meat out there is just kind of the stuff that they're force feeding the cows so that they gain weight. So
There's
that
a
they can kill
documentary
them
there.
as soon as possible, because that meat can't be too healthy either. And that's where I think that a lot of that could be moved more towards a plant-based meat, and that would also help environment.
I think the point is things have changed, right? Things have changed, whether it's electric vehicles, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's synthetic meat. We're open to new things now. To say, no, I'm never doing this. Like our friend Galera said, I would never. Like, maybe you're going to consider that now. I don't know. If we want to do the taste, I look forward to this taste test.
Yes.
Okay, that's what. And just last point about Bill Gates. This is why I kind of find the instant credibility. I won't say instant credibility. This is why I trust him. Pull up something called the Billionaire Pledge. Pull up something called the Billionaire. Are you guys familiar with this? This Billionaire Pledge. You know about this. Okay, basically, this is what he started with the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He's basically saying, listen, guys, we've had the luxury of living in America here, making billions, right? He's a capitalist, right? He's a Democrat and capitalist. You can be both.
Wait. Should I agree to the privacy notice here or no? Honestly, let me know if I should agree or not agree. I'm not sure anymore.
This is about building on a wonderful tradition of philanthropy, stop Mario, that will ultimately help the world become a much better place. That is the #1 quote on his site. To me, if you're a billionaire and you're basically saying, I think, what's the number? They're going to pledge 50%.
Is it more than 50?
I think some of these people are pledging 90% of their wealth. If you're worth $100 billion and you give, $90 billion to a charity of your choice, that's pretty impressive, man. That to me gets you some instant credibility, but you don't trust Bill Gates. Anyway, if you want to check that out, Billionaire Pledge, Bill Gates, the Giving Pledge, that's what it's called. The Giving Pledge.
It certainly puts pressure on other billionaires, doesn't it? When you get some
100%.
of the ones off the top.
Hey, Zuck, did you do it? Yeah, I did. Hey, Musk, did you do it? Yeah, I did.
A lot of them obviously there's some of them that just put it into a trust for their kids and their kids' and all that good stuff. But a lot of them also have other foundations. Like I know there's a Norwegian billionaire, a hotel tycoon that was approached, and he said no because he had already a different charity he was doing himself that he was giving to. Where he was
but at least he has that charity.
Yeah. No, he was pledging.
How many
the majority of
freaking
his
yachts
money
do you need? How many homes do you need if you can actually help the world? To me, that's where I think. Bill Gates. listen, he could be I'm not saying he's the type of this person. If you've got what $80 billion, what's his net worth right now? Something ridiculous.
Bill Gates?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing somewhere around.
No, it's 130 or.
Is he in the $100 billion range?
Yeah, he's number 5 in the world right now.
So somewhere near 100 billion. All right, cool.
133 billion.
133 billion. Do you know
13th.
how many planes and boats and yachts but he's just like, look, I just want to help the world.
I like
And
what
think
he's
that's
doing.
where he is.
I like what he's doing with clean water and sanitation in the third world countries. I mean,
Yeah.
he's saving lives, so I
Yeah.
respect him for that. But he also didn't build a nonprofit, right? So this guy has motives that are self-serving as well. So I think you just got to be cautious with his
Gotcha.
messaging.
But he's
All right.
also revolutioned giving money or philanthropy pretty much the most since you have a Rockefeller or those people as well. So he's obviously changed it and given it the business aspect of making it as efficient as possible.
I got respect for Bill Gates.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.